Hello guys, so this is IB Douglas here, and you are welcome to my journey as a designer. Basically creating this channel to share my experiences and my journey, sharing my challenges, sharing my mistakes, as well sharing my wins. But I'm basically focused on sharing my experiences and challenges I've gone through and also currently going through as a designer. So this is me actually being my real self. I'm not here to sugarcoat anything. This isn't a scripted thing. I'm basically explaining to you what I am going through and what I've been through. And this is basically for someone out there who might be going through the same stuff, or someone actually talking to my future self who might also go back to this audio in like maybe a year or 2 years or 3 years from now and actually remember where he's coming from. So I'm doing this for someone out there who needs an encouragement today and who might be going through the same thing, and I'm also doing this for my future self. Okay, so do well to like, leave a comment if you can actually relate to what I'm about to share with you, and also don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Okay, right, so my journey as a designer. Wow, so it started way back in 2018. I would say 2018. Then I was in university in my 500 level. So I just came back from IT. I did my IT in 400 level, and I just came back. Okay, sorry. I think yeah. So it was 2018. Sorry, that was where my journey for design started. But I picked interest in design in 2017. That was my final year. And I was really just fixated and focused on the software. So, for many of us in Nigeria, we know when you go to all these computer appreciation classes and schools, you know what they'll teach you now. They'll teach you Microsoft Excel, PowerPoint, and CorelDRAW. They'll try to teach you every single thing in 1 month, which that was just like a big lie to us, because definitely there is basically none of those things you can learn in 1 month. And why I decided to pick interest in design was because, okay, I felt that I had done this thing as a training, and I could also draw. So I drew a lot when I was in secondary school, but I stopped drawing when I got into the university. But I always loved drawing. I've always loved art, good design, and so that's why I actually picked it up. But there was a mistake I made. I was so fixated on learning how to use the software, and I got into CorelDRAW. I would just go on YouTube, how to design a logo with CorelDRAW. You see all these kind of abstract logos they design on YouTube, and I'll try to replicate how to do some text effects. So that's just basically what I was doing out of excitement. I didn't really take it seriously. And so when I got into my service year in 2019, I started dabbling into design a little bit, but I think I did some jobs then, 3,000 naira. You can imagine. And so some of us who are the big shoes and top big guys now will be saying, you guys can relate. So I just started design newly, so excited. I was putting the jobs I was doing, and I got some jobs, 3,000 naira for a logo and all that. So that was in 2019 and all that. But I still lacked the foundation of design. I could design, but I got stuck somewhere. I don't know, for some reason I just lost. I felt I was stuck. because I during my service here, I wanted to charge higher for my design work, but I felt I couldn't charge higher because I felt that there was something that was missing. I felt that I couldn't bill somebody 10,000 naira for a logo back then because I felt there was something that was missing. And man, it was a real challenge for me. And to be frank, to be honest with you, I didn't know what, I just felt that something was missing, but I didn't know what it was. Okay, and that's something I'm going to share along the way. And I just left it, and coming back, I served in Enugu. That's where I did my youth service. And after I had sold my laptop. I sold it as a seed. Sorry, I sold my laptop as a seed. And I was just with my smartphone. I didn't sell the laptop because I was hungry. No. I sold it as a seed for my church back then where I served. It was for a particular financial need that we needed to meet in church, and so I did that. And for so many of us who might be listening to this, I'm not ashamed to say it, I'm a Christian, I'm a believer. So I will definitely mention God here because He is my source, and whatever it is I'm sharing here, it's because I want to be open to you guys, and I do not want to say something that is scripted. So I'm going to be frank. And so when I sold that laptop, I told God, I said, this is something that I know I use this laptop to just watch some movies and practice a little design, which I had already lost passion for because I felt I didn't know what else to do. I didn't have anyone to talk to. I didn't have any mentors at that point. I didn't really have people I could easily associate with. I was just mixed up with my fellow coppers who were not designers, who knew nothing about design. So I wasn't getting that encouragement. And so when I sold that laptop, I told God He just has to make a way for me. And we can remember in 2020, Corona started. And that's where the smartphone graphics thing became very serious. Sit at home, how to design with the smartphone. And I was in my smartphone, and I stumbled upon a link on my someone's WhatsApp status, a friend of mine, and it was like a smartphone tutorial class, free. Now, Nigeria, we like free things. I think who doesn't like free things? So I joined the free class, and they were like showing us how to design a flyer with our smartphone, and it was Canva. I didn't know then, but it was Canva. The kind of strategy that's being used, I also use it too. So we just take up one section of a particular thing, they teach you, and it gets the excitement of everyone. And now if you want to learn the full meal or the full course, you have to pay for it. And that was what they did. So me, I fell for it because I didn't have a laptop. I still liked design, but I just wanted to know what I was missing. And so I paid for that course, that Canva course. Yeah, and it was 2,000, I think. Yes, 2,000. I paid for that course, and I learned how to design on my smartphone with Canva. That's how I was introduced to Canva. Yes. And I was very excited. I started designing with my smartphone, flyers with my smartphone, up to the point that I felt that I was good enough because I had just gotten out of a class that I paid for. And then I now started, I set up a smartphone graphics class. For the price of 3,000, I said, this is my time to make money now. I have I have known something with my smartphone, and I kid you not, the number of persons who joined that class was just 3. My sister, whom my mom just had to support me by paying the class for her. She didn't take it really seriously, but my mom just paid the money for my junior sister. just for the support. And one of my friends then in service who also joined the class, and another of my friend as well. So it was just 3 persons. And mind you, these people actually paid lower, because when I put the price 3,000, nobody was coming. You know, you don't have any experience, you've not built and shown authority in this field. So it's like, I mean, who is this guy putting out smartphone class? What have you done? And so I had to reduce it to 2,000, and that's how 2 of my friends joined. My mom actually paid 2,500, and that's how my sister joined, and there were just 3 persons in the class. And then at some point, a classmate of mine, a lady, noticed my flyer on IG, and she reached out to my DM on WhatsApp and was like, "Hey Douglas, I've been seeing your training, you are doing well, and I want you to be part of my team." And I was like, "Whoa, doing well where?" I said, "Me that just started a class of 3 persons, that I'm just teaching them what I learned from this free and paid class. What have I been doing?" So she felt that I was actually doing well. See how this God works. And she said she wants me to be part of her team of smartphone graphic designers. And you know, she mentioned another person in the team who was actually one of my classmates as well. And these 2 ladies, I really didn't know that these people were actually gurus in this field. They had already mastered smartphone graphics at some point, and they had already gotten or built an audience on their IG page. They've been actually teaching smartphone design. And to be honest, I was shocked, because I didn't know that they would ever go through that path. I mean, we went to school together, that's the same university, but I never saw them like this kind of people who would actually pick graphic design. So I think they might be listening to this and they will remember and laugh. So that's how I got into the team. We're a team of 5 persons, myself, my 2 classmates, the ladies who were in the same department with me, and 2 other guys. And so we started a smartphone bootcamp, and we made so much money due to the audience these other persons got. I think the only person I was only able to get because of my low reach was just 2 or 3 persons. But I think at the end of the day, each of us got 12,900 naira. I'm talking about 2019, 2020. Yeah, no, 2020. That was when the corona stuff started. So 2020, so that was when it started. And when I got that money that time, you know, someone who had sold his laptop and who just had a smartphone, I was like, wow. So, and then the border had closed, because I live in Port Harcourt and I was there in Enugu. And when I heard border I didn't even wait to hear the complete word border. I heard B for border. They didn't need to tell me twice. I went straight to the transportation company to book my bus ticket to Port Harcourt, and with that 12,900, I was able to come back home. I got some things for my brother, my family, and all that. And at some point, the team dispatched, or should I say, the team scattered. And the reason for that is the guy who was actually handling the flyer designs, who was actually designing the flyers for our boot camps and all that. I think he got pretty busy and engaged with some other jobs and all that, so he wasn't really consistent, and so I had to leave. And you know, we're just only 3 persons. The 2 guys left, we're just 3. And the next boot camp we held, just few persons joined. I mean, we made just like, I think, 4,000 each. It was really, really low. You know, this kind of thing, and it was really challenging, and so we shut down the stuff. And fast forward to that, I joined And so I had to get a job. I started teaching because I studied computer engineering. I started teaching as a computer instructor close to my house. They weren't paying me much. But then my second sister introduced me to the current place I'm serving now. That's my place of worship, Gateway International Church. I told you guys I'm not scripting anything. I'm telling you guys this is me. Gateway International Church in Port Harcourt. So my kid sister, that's my second kid sister, who was worshiping there or who worships there, introduced me to Gateway, and she was like, okay, you know how to design with your phone, you have this IT knowledge, come and serve in my church, or come to my church and become a member or a worker. And so I trivialized it, but later at some point I attended a program, and then that's when I made up my mind that I'm going to be a member of this church. Fast forward to that, I had to look for, there was a particular guy, I'm going to mention his name, he's going to hear this. So Fortune Wobidi, he was the first guy I met in church. I had known him then, before I decided to join Gateway, because we're both musicians, and I was able to relate with him. And I told him I'm joining, and that's how he introduced me to ICT department and the graphics department. So this is just basically where my life changed. So when I got into, first of all, I was in the live transmission, that's the ICT department, and I was there, and along the line I still joined the graphics department, because then I was designing with my smartphone and I wanted to learn more. And so I joined the graphics. It wasn't really like a department then, it was just a team of 2 persons who were designing for our church. So Mrs. Nene, she was she was the HOD, and I was under her tutoring, or should I say I was under her mentorship, I think, yes. So I was under her. I followed, I had to watch her design. I wasn't with the system, so I had to watch her design, watch her come to work. I'll stay with her till she closes every single day. Sometimes I won't even have transport to come, and sometimes she would pay my transport. Sometimes I won't even have sometimes I might not have money to buy lunch, and she just sponsors my lunch. So that was how my life was around that July, August of 2020, when I had gotten back to Port Harcourt. And I decided to go through that because I made up my mind that I wanted to improve in this thing. And so I needed someone who would guide me. And I'm going to pick up my lessons from there. So I needed someone who guide me, and luckily God, using Fortune, directed me to her. And so I began to ask questions about design. I asked her some questions. Sometimes she'll give me some things to do with my smartphone. I will laugh because I knew that now those things I was doing was so funny. Then I was also mixing Canva with Pixel Lab. And so sometimes during her break period, I would try to replicate designs with her system and all that. And so she started exposing me to certain things about typography, color, and it was through her I understood that single thing. It was through her I found or discovered that single thing that what I was looking for the past 1 year. And that was me learning the foundations of design. She spoke to me and told me, I need to ground myself on the foundations of design and not to be focused on just learning how to use the software that she knows, because I told her that I actually know how to use. Then I use CorelDRAW. Now I use CorelDRAW and Photoshop and Canva. That's for smartphone design. So I knew how to use CorelDRAW because I had invested time in learning how to use the software. So she told me that, yes, I know you know how to use this software, but you need to learn the basic principles and foundations of design. And so I took that advice, and I started resourcing for courses on typography, on color, on layout and composition. I even had to subscribe to a LinkedIn Learning course on graphic design entirely. And it was through LinkedIn Learning I was able to get the basic foundations of design. So I had to get typography, I had to study those things. And that was how it hit me that this was the actual thing I was missing. The basics of design, the principles, the foundation. You know how it is. You know it's very, very impossible where if you're in kindergarten or if you're in nursery school, for someone else, some of us that called it nursery school, you know it's not possible for you to jump from kindergarten to primary 2. I mean, you need to go through primary 1 before you go to primary 2. And so that was I was at a level of my life where I hadn't learned the foundations. I wasn't grounded in the basic principles of design, and I wanted to start designing so well, but I never had the foundation. So what am I saying? Now you might be listening to this and you just started out in graphic design. You are so excited in learning how to use your Photoshop, your Figma, CorelDRAW, Illustrator, Canva, and all sorts of softwares. But let me tell you something. If you do not get yourself grounded on the foundations of design, you are going to still repeat the same mistake I made 2 years ago. You are going to make that mistake. Never start something, a skill, never start a skill or learn a skill without first of all getting the foundations of that skill. Now for graphic designers, I'm talking to designers here, before you venture into using or learning how to use your softwares, first of all, learn the principles of design. I got stuck for over a year searching what the problem is, and I didn't know that I lacked the foundation of design. That was my problem. There's a difference between knowing how to design and knowing how to use your software. And so I knew how to use my software, but I didn't know how to design. I didn't know how to merge colors. I didn't know how to use typography very well. I didn't know even graphic design basic terms that I'm using now, the typography, the layout and composition, the color, the palettes. I didn't know these things, font combinations, sans serif, serif, slab serif. I never knew these things because I didn't ground myself on the foundation. I didn't go to design school. And I'm not saying you must afford going to design school, but I mean, there are a lot of online paid courses you could get on graphic design. There is Coursera, there is LinkedIn Learning, there is Skillshare, there is Udemy. There are so many places where you can go and get basic graphic design foundations. Of course, there's also YouTube, but I will advise you take a course because you'll actually learn from professionals who are highly experienced in that field. And so that's my message for today. If you're a designer, an experienced designer, an intermediate designer, or a beginner who is actually listening to this, my message for you is, if you do not know, if you are in that scenario or in that situation of mind where you are looking for, you know that there's something missing, you know that there's a level you want to get to, but you can't get to that level because you feel there's something missing. It might be the foundation of design. And my advice to anyone listening to this is, get the basic foundation of whatever it is you are getting into. So if you're a designer out here and you do not know your graphic design history, you do not know your graphic design principles, you don't know hierarchy, you don't know proportions, you don't know white space, you don't know logo type, you don't know typography, you don't know colors, you don't know your primary, secondary colors, tertiary colors, you don't know colored palette, you don't know grids, you don't know the foundations of design, I'll advise you go back and learn those things. Why am I saying that? That will be your foundation and stepping stone that will skyrocket you to your design career. Never skip the process. I was trying to skip the process and see what it took me 1 year to actually go back and learn that thing. I'm not there yet, but I can say now that where I am now is not where I was last year. That was in 2022, and even last 2 years, 2021, because I had to take that time. Till today, I still watch a lot of tutorials now on simple graphic design tips and also the business of design. Now I've actually taken, aside now just knowing foundations, I've moved into listening and also learning the business of design. So this is where I listen to Tola Alabi, Satola Alabi. I listen to Christo from the future. These are two people I actually listen to when it comes to the business of design. I also listen to Dr. Poe, that's Kachi Eze. There are a lot of people I listen to now who talk about the business of design. I attend a lot of seminars, both on Twitter Spaces. You know, these things are in levels, are in stages. But start from the beginning stage, which is learning your foundation. I bet you that when you learn the foundations of design, you will see how good your designs will be. So don't be carried away with software. Don't be carried away with, you see this person designing one thing and you're like, hey, I want to get to that level. Everybody has their own race. Everybody has their own race. So don't try to compete yourself with another person. Get the basic foundations of design. Get the basic foundations of graphic design. So that's my message, and that's part 1 of my story in my graphic design journey series. In my next session, or in the part 2, I'm going to share with you challenges I experienced when I started my journey as a freelancer, and also challenges, how I was able to get through those challenges, how I was also able to make my first 100K as a designer. I'm going to be sharing all those things in my series. A lot of mistakes I made and so many things. Yeah, so I'm going to be sharing that. So stay tuned. If you like what you just listened to, do well to click the like button. Do well to also leave a feedback in the comment section of what you think. Feel free to ask me questions in the comment section. Also do well to share this for a friend, a designer, a creative who needs this, who might need this encouragement. And I'll also do well to drop links of some foundational, I'll be able to drop links of websites where you could actually take courses on design. So I'm going to drop the links for Skillshare. I'm going to drop the links for Udemy. I'm going to drop the links for LinkedIn Learning. I'm going to drop the links for Coursera. So those links will lead you to the graphic design courses. So like I said, my advice, start from typography. So whether it's on Coursera, whether it's in Udemy, whether it's Skillshare or LinkedIn, start from typography, talking about fonts and all that. So that's basically the basics of, that's like the core basic of graphic design, typography. I advise you start from typography, then you can move to color, imagery, layout and composition and all that, but start from typography. I'll be dropping those links in the description of this video. Thank you so much once again for listening and hearing my story, and I'll be back with more. All right, thank you, and do have a lovely day.